Imagine waking up one morning, going into work like any normal day, and finding out that an AI did your entire job overnight. All your reports, your emails, your customer calls, just done. That actually happened to real people last year. And honestly, it's happening more and more. So today, we really need to talk about this. Welcome to Let's Talk Real English, the podcast where we explore real topics in real English so you can actually use it in your life. I'm your host, Lara.
And I'm Eric. And today we are getting into something that, honestly, a lot of people feel kind of nervous about. Like, it touches something very real, you know?
Right, exactly. So today's big question is AI actually replacing human jobs? And if so, what does that mean for all of us, basically?
Yeah. And we're going to look at both sides, right? Because it's not just doom and gloom, there's a lot to unpack here. And if you're around the B1 or B2 level in English, this episode is made for you.
Which is basically what we always do. Okay, so let's just get into it. Eric, where do we even start?
Okay, so I think the honest starting point is just accepting that yes, AI is already replacing some jobs. Like it's not a future thing anymore. It's happening right now. And I think a lot of people kind of know that, but they don't really want to say it out loud.
Right, right. It's like there's this thing where people say, oh, AI is just a tool, it won't take jobs. And then you look at the news, and yeah, companies are absolutely using AI to replace workers in certain areas.
Yeah, totally. So let's actually name some of the jobs that are like most at risk right now. And I think customer service is probably the biggest one people can actually see in their everyday lives, right?
Oh, for sure. Like, when was the last time you called a company and actually spoke to a human being right away, you know? Now it's always like, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and then suddenly a chatbot is trying to solve your problem.
Exactly. And those chatbots, they're getting really, really good. Like they can handle hundreds of conversations at the same time. A human just can't do that. So, from a business perspective, it just makes financial sense to use AI for those kinds of interactions.
Yeah, and it's not just customer service. Data entry is another big one. Like, think about those jobs where someone's whole day is just entering information from one system into another. That is exactly the kind of task that AI just does instantly and way more accurately than a tired human at the end of a long shift.
That's such a good point. And then there's writing, which is kind of a more sensitive topic for a lot of people because, AI can now write articles, marketing copy, basic reports. I mean, it's not always brilliant writing, but for a lot of companies, it's good enough.
Good enough. Yeah, that phrase is kind of scary when it comes to jobs, right? Like, you don't have to be the best, you just have to be good enough to replace a salary.
Right. And there's also, okay, this one is huge trucking, long distance truck driving. There are companies right now that are testing self driving trucks on highways. And I think some people don't realize how many millions of people around the world drive trucks for a living.
Completely. And I think that's actually the emotional part of this whole conversation that gets lost sometimes. When we talk about jobs being replaced, we're really talking about people's lives being disrupted. And that really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about the jobs that are like most at risk. But let's also be fair here, because there are definitely jobs that are a lot harder for AI to replace. And I think this is where it gets kind of interesting.
Yes. Okay, so this is where I actually feel a little bit more hopeful, honestly, because there are whole areas of work that AI is just not very good at. And I think the clearest example is anything that requires real human connection, like therapy.
Oh, totally. Like, could you imagine going to an AI therapist? And I know some apps kind of do that already, but it's not the same, right? When you're going through something really difficult, you need a human being who actually gets it, who has maybe felt something similar.
Right. And that's what we call emotional intelligence. The ability to, really read a situation, feel what someone else is feeling, and respond in a way that's genuinely human. AI can kind of simulate that, but it's not real, and people can tell the difference.
Yeah, they absolutely can. And then there's creativity, like real, deep creativity. Okay, so AI can generate images and write songs, sure. But I don't know. There's something about art that comes from lived experience, from pain, from joy, from being a person.
Yeah, like AI can write a poem about grief, but it has never actually lost anyone? There's a difference between generating words about something and actually having lived through it. And I think audiences, listeners, readers, viewers, they can feel that difference.
That's a really interesting way to put it. And then, okay, this one surprises some people. Physical trades, like plumbers, electricians, construction workers, those jobs are actually quite hard for AI to replace, at least for now.
Right? Because think about it. A plumber has to squeeze into weird spaces, look at a problem they've never seen before, and figure out a creative solution with the tools they have. That requires a kind of physical intelligence and adaptability that robots just aren't quite there yet.
Exactly. And there's something ironic about that. A lot of people and schools taught us that the smart career path was office work. But now the plumber might actually be safer from AI than the office worker doing data entry.
That is such a wild flip, honestly. Like all those years of learn to code, get an office job. And now some of those office jobs are the first ones going. It really makes you think about what we actually value in education and training.
It really does. Okay, so let's shift to something that I think is really practical and useful for our listeners. Because it's one thing to say these jobs are at risk, but what can people actually do? Like, what's the advice here?
Yeah, okay, so I think the first thing, and this sounds simple, but it's actually kind of deep, is to stop being afraid of AI and start learning how to use it. Like, the workers who are going to struggle the most are the ones who just refuse to engage with these new tools at all.
Right. And then beyond just using AI tools, I think the other really important thing is what some people call upskilling, which is just a fancy word for learning new skills. And it doesn't have to mean going back to university for 4 years. There's so many online courses, so many free resources now.
Yeah, like if you work in marketing right now and you're worried about AI writing your content, maybe the move is to go deeper into strategy, into brand storytelling, into the kind of creative thinking that an AI actually can't do. Lean into your human side.
Lean into your human side. I like that. And soft skills are huge too. Communicating well, leading a team, building relationships. Those things are incredibly hard to automate. People who excel at connecting with other people will be incredibly valuable.
Exactly. And honestly, learning a language, like English, is sort of a perfect example of that. Communication, connection, understanding different cultures and perspectives, that is so deeply human, and it opens doors that no algorithm can close.
Well said. And I think that's actually a great segue into okay, so here's the other side of the debate. Because we've been talking about the jobs AI is taking, but there's a real argument that AI is also creating new jobs. And I think this part often gets kind of forgotten.
Yeah, right. Historically, every big technological shift has destroyed some jobs and created others. When cars became common, there were no more horses to tend at every corner, but suddenly there were mechanics, gas station workers, road builders.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing happened with the internet, right? In the 90s, if you told someone there's going to be a job called social media manager, they would have looked at you like you were completely out of your mind. But now, millions of people do that job.
Right, or like YouTuber. That's a job now, a real one that didn't exist 15 years ago. So the question isn't really, will AI create new jobs? Because it almost certainly will. The harder question is, will those new jobs be accessible to the people who lose their old ones?
That's such an important distinction because, like, if a 55-year-old truck driver loses his job and the new jobs that AI creates are like AI ethics researcher or machine learning engineer, that transition is not easy. It's not just a quick course and you're done.
No, it's not. And I think that's where governments and companies have a real responsibility. Like, you can't just say adapt or fall behind and then not provide the resources for people to actually adapt. That's not a fair system.
Totally agree. And I think, okay, I want to bring up one more thing that I find really fascinating, which is the idea of AI actually making human workers more productive, not replacing them, but sort of supercharging them.
Oh, yeah, like the AI as a collaborator idea. Tell me more about that, because I think this is actually how a lot of people are already using it in their daily work.
Yeah, so think about a doctor, right? A doctor still needs to see patients, to listen to them, to make the final call on a diagnosis. But if AI can analyze thousands of medical records and flag patterns that a human might miss, the doctor becomes better, more accurate, faster. They save more lives.
Right, so the AI handles the heavy data lifting, and the human brings the judgment, the empathy, the final decision, and together they're more powerful than either one alone.
Exactly. And I think that model, AI plus human, is honestly the most realistic and optimistic picture of the near future. It's not man versus machine, it's more like man and machine working together, which sounds a little sci fi, but it's already happening. Okay, so I think we should start to wrap up. Before we do, let's summarize the key takeaways from today. There's been a lot here, and I want our listeners to walk away with something clear and useful.
Yes, good idea. Okay, so takeaway number one. AI is already replacing certain jobs, especially repetitive ones like data entry, customer service chatbots, and some kinds of writing. That is real, and pretending it isn't doesn't help anyone.
Takeaway number two, there are jobs that are genuinely harder to replace. Anything that needs emotional intelligence, creativity, human connection, or physical adaptability. Those are actually quite strong areas to be working in right now.
Takeaway number three, the best thing you can do is stay curious. Learn to use AI as a tool, build your soft skills, and invest in the things that make you uniquely human: your communication, your creativity, your ability to connect with other people.
And takeaway number four, AI is also creating new jobs and new opportunities. History shows us that technology always does. The question is whether we prepare ourselves and our communities to be ready for them. And that takes effort and intention.
Really well put, Eric. Okay, so our call to action for you today, listener, is this. Think about one skill you could start developing that makes you more human, not less. Maybe that's your English. Maybe that's learning to lead. Maybe that's deepening your expertise in something you're passionate about. Whatever it is, just take one small step this week.
One small step. I love that. And hey, if you found this episode useful, please share it with a friend. Leave us a review. It honestly means a lot to us, and it helps other English learners find the show. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you want to keep practicing your English on topics that actually matter, subscribe so you never miss an episode. We come out every week with new conversations, new vocabulary, new perspectives. I'm Lara.
And I'm Eric. Thanks so much for listening to Let's Talk Real English. Keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next one.